All right, everyone get ready, because today we are going deep into the world of rigging supervisors.
Sounds good.
But, we're not just talking about the job itself.
Right.
We're talking about how to really nail that interview.
Yes.
You want the skills,
Absolutely.
but you also want to walk in there with confidence,
I
right?
get it.
So think of this deep dive as your secret weapon,
Oh, I like that.
your cheat sheet for landing that dream-raking gig.
It's like having a backstage pass to the whole interview process.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we even get to the questions, like, what does a rigging supervisor even do?
Okay.
I'm looking at the what they do section of this career guide we've got here. And it's not just about knowing your knots.
No, it goes way beyond that.
Right.
It's leadership, it's safety, it's managing those some really complex projects, often under pressure.
Yeah, and this scope section mentions everything from construction sites to, like, entertainment venues.
Yeah, lots of variety.
So, okay, hold that thought, because I want to hear some of those war stories. But first, let's focus on your story, the one that you're going to tell in the interview, right?
Great.
So we've got this interview guide's introduction, plus all of these juicy sample questions.
Yes, and understanding what the interviewer is looking for is key.
Yes.
Like, what are they looking for in a rigging supervisor?
Right.
That's the key.
Okay, so that's where I think this RoleCatcher AI comes in handy, because you can actually score your resume against the job description.
Yeah, it's like a pre-game analysis before you even, step onto the field.
I like that, yeah.
So you know exactly what skills to highlight.
Yeah.
And then you can even practice answering interview questions and get AI feedback that's specifically targeted to this role.
Yeah, it's like having a scout in your corner.
Exactly.
Okay, so first up, this one always throws me off.
Okay.
How did you become interested in the field of rigging?
Yeah.
Seems basic, but this interview guides tell me it's all about showing genuine passion.
Yeah, it's like your elevator pitch.
Okay.
It's that quick story that really grabs them, that makes them say, wow, this person really gets it.
Okay, so the insight section here is saying to connect personal experiences to the role.
Right.
So maybe you were, I don't know, fascinated by construction as a kid.
Sure.
Or you saw a mind-blowing rigging setup at a show, something like that.
Exactly. And be ready for them to ask, what about the supervisory aspect appeals to you?
Oh, interesting.
So you got to show them you're ready to lead.
Be ready to lead.
That's right.
Okay, so the guide has this sample response. I'm just going to read it straight out. My interest in rigging started with your personal story. As I gained experience, I realized I thrived on mentioned leadership qualities like problem-solving, mentoring, etc. Seeing a project come together safely and efficiently because of my guidance, that's what motivates me.
Yeah, that's great, but tweak that to fit your story.
Right, okay.
Authenticity is key.
Authenticity, okay.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher can actually analyze your practice answers and give you pointers to make it even stronger.
It's like having a coach in your corner.
Exactly. Helping you refine your pitch.
Perfect. Okay, next question. This one is all about showcasing your technical know-how.
Sure.
What is your experience with rigging equipment and tools?
Be specific.
Specific.
Don't just rattle off a list.
Okay.
The approach section here says to connect your experience to actual projects.
Right.
So instead of just saying, I'm familiar with chain hoists,
Right.
talk about how you use them to solve a specific problem.
Okay, like a tricky rigging challenge.
Exactly, and anticipate follow-up questions.
Okay.
They might ask, tell me about your experience with specific equipment mentioned in the job description.
Okay, so if they're looking for someone who has worked with spreader beams, you better have a story ready to go.
Exactly. And the avoid section says don't exaggerate your experience.
Right.
Honesty and a willingness to learn
Yeah.
are always appreciated.
Okay, let's move on to a question that is absolutely mission critical in this field.
Okay.
How do you ensure safety when rigging equipment?
Ooh, this one's a deal breaker.
This is a big one.
You've got to nail this one.
Yeah, the career guide is emphasizing that safety is like the #1 thing
Right.
in this role.
It's not just about following the rules.
Right.
It's about embodying that safety-first mindset.
Yes, and the insight section suggests weaving in specific examples of how you have gone above and beyond to ensure safety on a job site.
Exactly.
So, for instance, you spotted a potential hazard that others missed,
Right.
or you implemented a new safety procedure that prevented an accident.
Exactly.
So the guide has this sample response. My approach to safety starts with mention your core safety principle, e.g., meticulous planning, proactive communication, etc. For example, on a recent project, I describe your specific action and its positive impact on safety.
Solid.
Solid.
Solid. And don't forget to touch upon any relevant safety regulations and certifications that you have. Oh, right.
Like they might ask, are you familiar with OSHA's latest guidelines on specific rigging practice?
So brush up on your industry knowledge beforehand.
Yes, very important.
Okay. And again, RoleCatcher can help you practice answering this really crucial question.
Yeah.
And the AI will analyze your response and give you feedback on how to make it even more impactful.
Okay, now let's shift gears to a question that assesses your leadership.
Okay.
How do you manage a team of riggers?
Ooh, leadership.
This is where you show them you can motivate, you can delegate, and you can communicate effectively.
All right, so think about a time you successfully led a team through a really challenging rigging project.
Yes, and the approach section here emphasizes striking that balance between authority and collaboration.
Oh, interesting.
You're the leader, but you also value the input of your team.
Okay, I like that.
So be ready for follow-up questions.
Okay.
Like, how do you handle conflicts between team members?
Oh, that's a good one.
Or describe your approach to delegating tasks effectively. Okay, so here's a sample response. I believe in fostering a collaborative environment where everyone feels valued and heard. When delegating tasks, I ensure clear communication and provide the necessary support to my team members.
That's great. And you could even mention a specific time that you had to resolve a conflict.
Right.
Or motivate a team member that was struggling.
Yeah, a real-world example.
That's right.
Okay, and RoleCatcher can help you fine-tune your answer so that it hits all the right notes.
Yes.
Okay, wow, we've covered a lot of ground already.
I know, right?
Ready for more?
Bring it.
Okay, we'll be right back with more questions in part 2.
See you there. Welcome back. Are you ready to tackle some more of those interview questions?
Oh, absolutely. Let's dive right back in.
Okay.
So this next question is all about problem solving on the fly. Imagine you're working on a complex rigging project and a critical piece of equipment malfunctions. What steps do you take?
Ooh, this is where they really want to see how you handle pressure.
Yeah, the career guide says quick thinking and a clear head are really important.
Absolutely.
So safety always comes first.
Right? Of course, of course.
What's your go-to move when something goes wrong on site?
Well, the first thing you got to do is secure the area.
Okay.
Make sure everyone is safe and that the situation doesn't escalate.
Right.
Then you assess the damage and you start troubleshooting.
So let's say like a winch suddenly stops working mid-lift.
Okay, yeah.
What's going through your mind at that point?
Well, I'm immediately checking for any obvious signs of damage.
Okay.
Like broken cables or loose connections.
Yeah.
And then I would consult the equipment manual. Sometimes it's a simple fix.
Okay. And what if it's not?
Well, then you got to think on your feet.
Okay.
Can you implement a safe workaround
Right.
while you wait for repairs?
Uh-huh.
Or do you need to bring in a specialist?
So the interview guide actually gives this sample response. My immediate priority would be to ensure everyone's safety and secure the site. Then I'd assess the malfunction, consult the equipment manual, and if necessary, contact the manufacturer or a qualified technician. While waiting for a resolution, I'd explore safe workarounds and keep all stakeholders informed.
That's a good framework.
It is.
Just remember to tailor it to your own experiences and the specific equipment that's mentioned in the job description.
Right. Make it your own.
Absolutely.
Okay. And the guide also says don't blame others
Right.
or downplay the severity.
Yes.
Own your responsibility for finding a solution.
Right. They want to see that you're a problem solver,
Right.
not a problem creator.
Okay. So speaking of problem solving, how about those interpersonal challenges that inevitably pop up on a team?
Ah, yes. Those.
There's a question in the guide about dealing with conflict between team members.
Okay.
So let's say two riggers are like butting heads about how to best rig a load.
Okay.
How do you handle that?
You got to listen to both sides
Okay.
without taking sides. What are their concerns? What solutions are they proposing?
Okay.
Sometimes just letting people vent can really diffuse the tension.
Okay. And then what?
Then you try to find common ground.
Okay.
Can you combine their ideas into a solution that works for everybody?
Right.
The key is to be a mediator, not a dictator.
I like that. Okay. So the interview guide suggests emphasizing your communication and conflict resolution skills.
Yes.
So you could say something like, I'd facilitate a respectful discussion, focusing on finding a solution that prioritizes both safety and efficiency. My goal is to create a work environment where everyone feels heard and respected.
That's good.
Good.
And be ready for those follow-up questions.
Okay.
Like, have you ever had to discipline a team member for unsafe behavior?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, but it shows that they're looking for someone who can enforce standards.
Okay, speaking of tough questions, here's one that can really throw people off. Have you ever had to work on a rigging project with limited resources or under a tight deadline?
Ah, the classic resourcefulness test.
Okay, so this one's less about technical skills and more about your ability to prioritize.
Yes, and think creatively.
And the career guide actually says adaptability is a key skill for a rigging supervisor.
Right, you're not just managing equipment, you're managing people and expectations.
So they want to see that you can stay calm, make tough decisions, and still deliver a safe and successful project.
Exactly.
And the approach section suggests highlighting a time when you had to improvise a solution or adjust a plan on the fly.
Right, like maybe the equipment that you ordered was delayed and you had to come up with a different rigging configuration.
Right, or you had to work longer hours to meet a critical deadline.
Exactly.
Okay, here's a sample response. I've definitely faced those challenges before. In one instance, we had to rig a heavy piece of machinery in a tight space with limited headroom. I worked with my team to develop a creative solution using mentioned specific equipment or techniques, which allowed us to complete the lift safely and on schedule.
That's a great example. It shows that you can think outside the box and still maintain those safety standards.
Absolutely. And RoleCatcher can help you practice these tricky situational questions.
It's like a virtual rehearsal.
Yes, before the big show.
Exactly.
Okay, so speaking of safety, here's another one that's sure to come up. Tell me about a time when you identified a safety hazard on a rigging project.
Okay.
So they're not just looking for someone who can follow the rules.
Right.
They want someone who can actively seek out and mitigate risks.
And the insights section here mentions that proactive safety measures
Uh-huh.
can save lives and prevent costly accidents.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
It is. They want to hear about a time when you went above and beyond to keep everyone safe.
Right?
Even if it meant delaying the project or challenging a supervisor's decision.
Okay, so let's say you notice a frayed sling during, like, a pre-lift inspection.
Yeah,
What would you do?
that sling is out of commission.
Okay.
Immediately, I would remove it from service, document the issue, and find a suitable replacement.
So safety trumps deadlines every time.
Every time.
Okay, the guide gives this sample response you can adapt. I once noticed a specific safety hazard during a type of rigging operation. I immediately describe your actions, emphasizing proactive communication and adherence to safety protocols. As a result, we were able to highlight the positive outcome. For example, prevent an accident, ensure a safe lift, etc.
Perfect. Be specific and paint a clear picture of the situation.
Okay.
They want to see your thought process and that commitment to safety in action.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze your answers and give you feedback on how to make them even more compelling.
Speaking of compelling, let's talk about teamwork. Tell me about a time you had to collaborate with a team from a different department on a rigging project.
Ooh, okay, so this is all about communication, diplomacy, and understanding those different perspectives.
Yes. The career guide mentions that rigging supervisors work with everyone.
Right.
Engineers, construction crews, event planners, you name it.
So you've got to be able to build relationships and speak their language.
Exactly, even if you're coming from totally different worlds.
So the approach section suggests highlighting a time you had to bridge communication gaps.
Right.
Or navigate those conflicting priorities.
Maybe you had to explain a complex rigging procedure to someone who wasn't familiar with the technical jargon.
Right, or negotiate a compromise to make sure the project stayed on track.
Exactly.
Okay, here's a sample response. On a recent project, I had to work closely with the other team or department to describe the specific challenge or goal. I made sure to highlight specific actions you took to facilitate communication and collaboration. For example, regular meetings, clear documentation, etc. As a result, we were able to mention the positive outcome of the collaboration.
That's good. Remember to emphasize those soft skills.
Okay.
Active listening, patience, a willingness to compromise.
Right.
Those are gold in any collaborative setting.
And guess what? RoleCatcher can help you practice these teamwork-focused answers too.
It sure can.
The AI will give you feedback on how to come across as a strong communicator and collaborator.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground in this part of the deep dive,
We have.
but we still have a few more questions to tackle,
Okay.
including some that focus on your long-term career goals.
Okay, so stay tuned for part 3, where we'll wrap things up
Yes.
and give you some final tips on how to make a lasting impression in that interview. Okay, we're back for the final round of our Rigging Supervisor interview deep dive.
Yeah. Sure.
So we've prepped for the technical questions, we've tackled those tricky scenarios,
Yeah,
and now it's time to shift gears and talk about your future.
that's right. The interview guide says they want to see your potential for
Yeah.
growth and a commitment to the field.
Exactly. So let's tackle a question that always comes up towards the end of an interview.
Okay.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
It's not about predicting the future. It's
Okay.
about showing them that you've thought about your career path.
Yes.
And the career stages section of this career guide actually outlines some common paths for rigging supervisors.
Okay, so you can talk about moving into a senior supervisor role,
Right.
maybe overseeing bigger projects or mentoring junior riggers.
Exactly. Or maybe you want to specialize and become the go-to expert for a specific type of rigging,
Right.
like high-rise construction or heavy machinery.
The key here is to align your goals with the company's needs.
Absolutely. Did their job description mention future expansion or any specialized projects?
Right. Yeah, tailor it.
Yes. So if they're looking for someone to lead a growing team, you could say, I see myself taking on more responsibility, mentoring others, and helping to build a world-class rigging department right here.
Perfect. And the guide also gives this framework. In 5 years, I aspire to be a mentioned desired role or area of expertise, contributing to company's goals or values. I'm particularly excited about mentioned specific opportunities for growth or learning within the company.
Yeah, just remember to adapt it to your own ambitions and the specific company
Right.
that you're interviewing with.
Make it your own.
Ex-
Okay, and they might ask, what steps are you taking to reach those goals?
Oh, good one.
So that's where you would mention certifications you're working towards or professional development courses.
Yes, even if you don't have a formal plan, showing them that you're thinking about your future and looking for opportunities to learn
Yeah,
is always a good thing.
that's great. Okay, ready for a curveball.
Oh, yeah, hit me.
The guide says one of the most important questions you can ask.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for us?
I love this part.
It's your chance to turn the tables.
Yes, you're interviewing them too.
Exactly, and it shows genuine interest. Right?
Absolutely.
Make sure this company is the right fit for you.
It does, and the avoid section says don't ask questions that you could easily Google.
Okay.
Like, what does your company do? Or how many employees do you have?
Right, so dig deeper.
Yes, ask about their safety culture,
Okay,
their
super.
approach to training, the types of projects that they're working on.
I like it.
You could even ask about the team dynamics.
Okay, so maybe something like, I'm really passionate about, mention a specific rigging technique or safety practice. Can you tell me more about how your company fosters that?
Ooh, that's good.
Right.
Or, I noticed you mentioned specific project or responsibility in the job description. Can you give me an example of what that looks like in practice?
I like that. So asking those thoughtful questions shows that you've done your research
Uh-huh.
and you're serious about this opportunity.
And guess what? RoleCatcher can actually help you come up with tailored questions based on the company.
Oh, wow.
And the role,
That's awesome.
it's like a cheat sheet for asking smart questions.
Yeah, okay, so we've reached the end of our deep dive.
We have.
We've covered a lot.
Yeah, from those technical skills to leadership to problem solving to those big picture career goals.
Yeah, and remember, you got this. Use the career guide. Use the interview guide.
Yeah.
Practice your answers with RoleCatcher's AI.
And walk into that interview with confidence.
Yes, you've got the knowledge and the tools to land that dream rigging supervisor job.
You got this good luck.
Thanks for joining us today.